so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
Hello everyone and welcome to my guide or tier list video. Here I'm going to show you how to actually see which characters are good instead of having to rely on other people's tier lists. So first of all, I have written down all of the skills here, all the ones that we're currently seeing on new characters. And first I'm going to say what they actually do so you have a reference point. So here we have the different resists. And well, it's self-explanatory. It's very niche, and that's why I say it's less important because you can use it for X co-op and stuff like that. If you need a specific resist type, if you're struggling with being poisoned all the time or always being frozen and keep dying to that, you could slap on someone with poison resist, or use a character that has it innately. We have resist to everything. So far, it's only the Thousand Year Blood Wall Mirro that has this. And it again, it's not really something that makes or breaks a character. And then we have Blast Zone. This isn't really seen very often, and it's mostly on older characters. Just thought I'd include it just in case. It is extra range on your special. And due to your special already having such huge range, it's not really needed. Then we're gonna go to the medium quality skills, I'd say. We have Disabler, which affects the duration, increases the duration of your status ailments that you inflict. This is useful in both PvE and PvP. Again, it doesn't really make or break a character, but it's nice to have, and it can certainly help. Again, Debilitator, kind of the same thing. It just refers to the probability, so it increases the chance of actually proccing the ailment in the first place. Then we have Bombardment. This is mainly useful in PvP, in PvE, because it doubles the damage of your special. It's a bit like Flurry and Frenzy, just for special. So, like, it's good to have that extra nuke, but in PvP, if you get the bomb, stuff usually dies, and you normally win. In epic raids and stuff like that, it doesn't really do that much damage to your special. You usually rely on normal attacks and your strong attacks instead. So, I mean, it's nice to have, but again, it doesn't make or break a character. Unless they would suddenly do a frenzy and bombardment thing with some increased damage or something, that could do it. But I don't really see that happening. Then we have Enhancer. This increases the duration of your buff. This is very good for boosters. That's why I kind of wrote very good, because depending on the situation, it might come over here. If the character is mainly a booster, you kind of need it. But if the character has a boost and doesn't, like, it's not the main function, like Ken Fear on World Noitora, like, he doesn't need Enhancer because like, he's not a booster. That's not his job. So that's why it's kind of somewhere in between here. Then we have Medic. This makes your heal ability, heal allies as well. This is good in general PvE content and epic raids, especially if you have a team that's ordering epic raids. It'll come in handy. We have Start Barrier. This is mainly a PvP thing. It's really good for PvP, but it doesn't really do much in either PvE or epic raids. So that's why I kind of put it at medium tier. Then we have Sprinter. Like, this is Sprinter plus 2, I'd say, is kind of mediocre because Long Stride is better. But Sprinter +1 is quite mandatory for characters nowadays. It's gonna feel very slow and clunky if you don't have it. So Sprinter +1, I would say, is very good. +2 is kind of mediocre. You don't need it that much, but it's nice. This is, of course, not used in PvP, so it's mainly for PvE and for epic raids. Then we have the new guard break skill. For SP characters, I say it's mostly for PvE, and it's only medium tier because, again, it guard breaks with your nat string. But if you're using SP character, most of them have frenzy, and you don't really need it because your damage is coming from strong attacks anyway. But again, for some autoing and stuff, it is okay to have, and it's not bad. So that's why I put it here. Then we have extra potions in IC. It's the new one we got in the Power Ruka. It's very good if you need the specific type of potions. And if you're not doing a lot of epic raids and you are already naturally doing a lot of IC, then it's very good. But it's niche use because I personally rarely do IC. I get most of my potions from spamming epic raids. So I would probably not get that much use out of this one. And that is why it's not top tier in my opinion, because it is so niche. Then we have Pierce Shield. This is a counter to the start barrier, which is quite good in PvP. So naturally, Pierce Shield is going to pierce the barriers of other characters. So it's kind of a counter to the barrier meta that we're kind of seeing. But again, it's literally only useful in PvP so far. And that's why it's here. Then we have Healer. I think the only character with this skill, I might be wrong. It's the new 1000-year Blood Wall Otohime. And it basically does so that your heal heals more. That's good for PvE and for epic raids. I don't see it useful in PvP unless we get some kind of shift in the meta where you actually use heal character, or we get a super OP PvP character that has a heal and is also having this skill. Then maybe it's good there as well. But so far, we haven't really seen any evidence of that being the case. Then we go to the good stuff. We have Flurry. It doubles your normal attacks. So basically doubles your damage if you're running a nat build. Frenzy, the same thing, just with strong attacks instead. Then we have Havoc. Okay, back to these. These are like today they're more or less mandatory for a character to actually be useful. So that counts in all aspects of the game, whether it's PvE, PvP, and epic raids, co-op, whatever. You kind of need these for it to be a solid character, unless they down the line end up doing like a mixed build with 100% Bruiser Berserker dual thing. I don't know, that might be the case, but so far these are mandatory for a character to be somewhat useful. Then we have Havoc. This increases the range of your strong attacks. It is very good in PvE. It's useless in epic raids because just the nature of the way it is. But for general PvE, it's quite good. It is actually very good, which is why I put it here. Then we have the PvP thing. We started to see a surge of fully transcended SP characters that has Havoc, so they can hit everyone with their strong attacks in PvP. And it seems to be actually quite good. So it might actually have its use in PvP as well, the Havoc skill, but I personally see it mostly as a PvE skill, but still. it is very good to have, and it is often currently the thing that either makes a character go from bad to decent, or go from average to really good. That is what we're seeing now, so that is a skill to look out for. Then we have Browser. This is normal attack damage increase, and it is percent based, just like the regular soul traits are. Right now, I think most characters, they're jumping between 20 and 40% right now when they're already having Flurry. That has been new for like half a year now ish, something like that. Maybe just like 3-4 months. Not sure on the timeline there, but um, the higher this is, the better. Obviously, the standard right now is, I believe, is 20, but a lot of the newer characters have started to see 40%. Berserker is the exact same thing, just strong attacks, strong attack damage, and it's the same thing with the percentages. So, like, if a character comes out and it does not have extra bruiser berserker damage on top of the flurry and frenzy that corresponds to it, it's probably not going to be that good of a character. At least unless it has something else to remedy it, for example, Havoc and Long Stride or something like that. Then we have Long Reach. This I see as mainly a PvE thing. It is increased range on your normal attack string. It helps clear for nat characters. Basically, that's it. I think you could make an argument for it also being decent in PvP, but we have seen quite a few nat characters and top PvP contenders not having long reach and still being at the top. Loitoria is a prime example of this, so it's not needed. But it does feel very good to clear with it in PvE, and that is why I put it here. Then we have Long Stride. This, I'm not sure if it doubles the length of your flash steps, but it increases the range of them, so you move a lot further. This is quite mandatory for guild quests, I'd say, and really helps speed up a lot of manual PvE. It also helps you dodge in epic raids, which is why I put it here. It is all round very good except for PvP. And we have Guard Break for nat characters. This is insanely strong. It is new, and we've only had this on Tokinata and Owetsu so far for the nat characters. It makes it so you don't have to use your strong attacks to actually get through the guards of the mobs you're trying to kill, which is very helpful because your strong attacks it feels like a waste of time when you're running a full ad build with Chappie because it doesn't do any damage. So you're just sitting there watching the animation and knocking the mobs down sometimes, waiting for them to get up so you can actually hit them and kill them with your NAD. Here, all of that time is shaven off, and you just slap them with your NAD and one-shot them, usually, especially with Transcendence nowadays. So I'd say this is an insanely good thing for PvE NAD characters. Then we have the new thing, or the new skill, attack hidden enemy. I think it's hit hidden enemy, something like that. Again, all those pesky, I think it's a Rankars that burrow underground and Soul Reapers. They are really annoying to deal with in manual PvE. General, actually, all kinds of PvE except for epic raids. It's just really handy to have. It's basically the Zeta Ball, but instead of sacrificing an accessory slot for this, you have it as a skill. Personally, I don't see them putting Guard Break on that characters and this. I think it would be a bit too OP. They might do it down the line, so watch out for that. But for now, I think it's mainly going to go on the Frenzy characters. And I think that will be a top contender skill slot for the good PvE Frenzy units we're going to see. And then we have Poise. This makes your character not stagger. and not get their attacks cancelled and stuff like that. So like kind of the mini stun you see when you get hit, it removes that basically. This is almost mandatory in PvP, I'd say, because you're basically gonna get shit on if you don't have it. um, so yeah, it's very, very good in PvP. And then for characters ordering PvE, it's the same thing as well. Quite good. It reduces the damage you take because you don't get locked down and kind of into a cycle of being stunned without actually being hit by an ailment. So I'd say it's overall a very good skill, especially for PvP though. Then we have the ailments. Confusion and slow are not very good. Uh, like the name of the ailments, it kind of gives away what they do. Confusion, the mobs or your target, it runs around confused, but it can still hit you accidentally, which makes it less good. Then we have slow. It just slows them. It's not not very good compared to the other ailments we have. Then we have weaken attack and weaken defense. Depending on the situation, they might be over here because if you are trying to do Senkaiman and you are having trouble with one boss that just one-shots you on its special and you can't seem to dodge it, the weaken attack will basically nullify this if you just special bomb right before they're about to do it. Then you can kind of skip, so to speak, their special, or the damage of it at least. Then you have the defense, it's just a huge nuke, and it also works in epic raids. And from my understanding and knowledge, it applies for all of your team. So if they get their defense weakened by you, all of your team does a lot more damage. So if you time the damage right, it's going to be absolutely mad damage, and it will speed up the run significantly. So in these situations, I say it's over here, but then again, for general use, it's like most PvE content and PvP, once you actually bomb or apply it to the mobs that get one-shotted. In PvP, again, I'd say the weaken attack is better in PvP. You can see it on weaken and what's his name? Ichibe. They both have it, and once they proc it, they kind of make their opponent useless. The problem is that they can still collect the bomb, which can lose you the match eventually. So again, it's not as strong as Freeze or Para when it comes to PvP. But yeah, it's just different and different uses, but the overall use, I'd say it's around the middle. It's just okay. Like the same with Freeze and Para, kind of the same thing. You can't use that in ER at all, but again, is very useful for smashing bosses in Senkaiman if you have trouble with that. You can run around and proc it. In PvP, it's good as well. If you proc it, the character is useless for quite a while. And for manual PvE, it's stuff die way too fast for it to actually be relevant, since we have Transcendence. Same thing with Burn and Poison, but Burn and Poison, I'd say it has a very specific purpose because, well, first of all, it does a set amount of damage in ER, so it's just extra damage on top, which is nice, better than not having anything, and definitely better than like weakening the boss's attack, which does nothing, or freezing it, or paralyzing it, or confusing it, or slowing it. So there's that. But there's also the Senkaiman thing, and basically, if you don't have a character for a boss stage, you know the stages where you have 3 bosses you have to fight consecutively, the boss rush, I think, then you can actually burn them down. So if you lack the character for the stage, you can kind of cheese the stage with burn and poison, which makes it very valuable. if you can't clear this in Kaimon otherwise, because that is huge for resources. That's why I kind of put it here. Then we have soul traits. Resistance, again, kind of niche, same thing as above. Then we have dodge. I heard that before I started playing, about 1.5 years ago, like way back before that, dodge was actually a thing, but I have not seen it be relevant since I started, and from what I gather, is probably not going to be. I mean, if you do have a resurrected character that has a full, proper soul trait you're going to use anyway, and it has dodge as well, like you might as well use it, but it's not something you want to go for generally. Then you have low stamina damage. It is, in my opinion, completely useless in PvE and PvP, and is only a thing in epic raids if you want to min-max your character. And that's basically it. Then you have strong attack damage. Again, it's kind of been outdated in a way, because strong attack recharge is the thing to go for in PvE and most manual content. Then you have epic raids. You go full stamina damage instead. So there's no real use for strong attack damage except for PvP now that we have the Pierce Shield. Because before the Pierce Shield, you just run like SP characters with start barriers and then just slap full stamina damage on them because they wouldn't take the damage, and then you hope to win before the barrier gets destroyed. That's kind of it. But now that people have Pierce Shield, full stamina damage is not going to be as viable in PvP anymore, which means strong attack damage is going to be the way to go for the SP characters. And I think that's the saving grace for this trait, actually. Then we have normal attack damage. It is the go-to thing for epic raids. If you have an character in epic raid, you want to use this or the low stamina damage. The low stamina damage requires you to play in a certain way and preferably have maxed out your familiars for very specific builds and purposes. If you do not have this, or basically are too lazy to play the specific way required, you can just go with a normal attack damage. It's not that bad. This is usually 30%, this is 25% damage. So you're not going to lose out that much, but it's a lot easier. So it's good for ER and a lot, basically PvE content where you are doing it manual, or if you order it and you basically want to smash stuff as fast as possible and you know you're not going to die from it. That is basically what you use this link for. Then you have last ditch survival. I don't really see this as a very useful thing in PvP because it will take up the slot of reduced damage, and that is way too valuable. The effective HP is a lot more, especially taking into account that we now have increased HP with the Transcendence function. That means that the last ditch is, when it comes to effective HP in PvP, it's way outperformed by damage taken. Then we have, for like basically all manual PvE, you'd want to either use the reduced damage taken if you risk dying on a NAD character, or you want to use NAD. Then you have strong attack recharge for the frenzy characters, and there is no point in using a last ditch over the strong attack recharge in that case either. So it's relegated to, in my opinion, being an auto trait. That if you auto and you don't want to die, but you think you can clear it, like you have the damage and stuff, you just risk dying, I guess it's okay, and it's definitely a decent option for the resurrected characters that have it as a secondary thing. We have the mind full holified, the old mind full holified Ichigo, that's resurrected now. He has a 20% normal damage trait as well as an 80% last hit survival. That is, in some cases, useful, I'd say. But besides that, I personally only use it for ordering epic raids. When you have a character that is built up to be very strong, and they are bonus with ×2, for example. This could be a Tokinada that is max transcended. Then you run full normal attack damage links or low stamina damage links, and then you could slap this on your familiars to be able to resurrect twice. And if your full team is built this way with absolute max damage and you could all have 2 resurrects, then it is usually enough to be able to fully auto an ultimate level epic raid without having to manually revive. Usually. There are some quirks to this, but it works most of the time. That's basically what I use it for. If you don't have the familiar, you could substitute this with 1 link, but I don't recommend doing it with too many links because you're going to sacrifice too much damage. Then we have the full stamina damage. Again, as we talked about before, this was a good thing in PvP for SP characters with shields, and is still going to be as long as you avoid characters that has pierce shield. And then I'd say it is, if you don't want to run the low stamina damage, and because of the way that Zinkaisen links work, where they have both full stamina damage and strong attack damage on a frenzy character, I would say that full stamina damage can, in some cases, I'd say is very close in damage to low stamina damage, and you don't have to actually kind of suicide first to get low. So I think it's a matter of taste and the best links you have. Usually Zinkaisen links are a lot easier to get than all of the low stamina damage link. So I'd say there's room for this to be a very, very viable option in epic raids, especially for strong attack characters. Then we have stamina recovery. Recover stamina whenever you change the map. This is quite niche, but for altering some PvE content, it is quite useful. So it's mediocre in the middle, I'd say. But then we have the big ones. That is strong attack recharge, which is the go-to for almost every SP unit in PvE. Then we have reduced damage taken. This is whenever you are afraid of dying in manual PvE as a NAD unit, whenever you auto PvE as a NAD unit, and it is almost mandatory for all NAD units in PvP, and most of the meta is revolving around this. I think that was the traits. Yeah, alright. So, all in all, things to watch for in PvE is Frenzy Flurry, Bruiser Berserker, that's preferably higher than 20% right now. And that is like, don't look for a Bruiser when you're using a Frenzy unit. It has to be the corresponding one. So Bruiser to Flurry, and Berserker to Frenzy, right? Then we have Long Stride. It's very good for fast clearing units. It's mostly useful on SP units because you can move really fast, proc your strong attack, move really fast, proc your strong attack, and hopefully your character with Transcendence and stuff like that is able to one-shot on the way, making this speed up the run like insanely much. Then you have Guard Break for NAD, you have Hidden Enemy, and you have Poise for your NAD characters to auto. These are the things you want to look out for, and these are the things that really make a character good nowadays. Oh, I forgot one. Actually, one of the really important ones. Havoc. I say these are the ones that really make a character good for PvE. For PvP, again, you still want to watch for Frenzy and Flurry, but you also want to watch for, and the Bruiser and Berserker, but you also want to watch for Start Barrier, Pierce Shield, and Poise. So basically, I'd say right now we're seeing a tendency to lean more towards the nat characters in PvP, so it would most likely be a character with Flurry, very high Bruiser, a Barrier, or Pierce Shield, or both, and Poise. That would be a good PvP character. So, the more of these skills that a new character is missing, the less good it is and less desirable. So now you don't need any fancy tier lists and stuff like that, because now you actually have the ability to determine yourself which characters are good and worth summoning for, which is one of the most important things in the game. So, I hope the guide helped. I will say thank you very much for watching, and remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you around.